Welcome to the Holiday Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Sutherland.
And I am Heather Lunderbold, and we are here to help you master the business of Christmas.
All right, here we roll. Hey, friends, welcome back to the Holiday Pros Podcast, where we are helping you master the business of Christmas. My name's Lindsay Sutherland, and my co-host here is Heather. Heather is
Hello.
joining us today. We're excited today. We're talking about what to be doing in the off season. This is kind of a question that comes up frequently, I would say, but for both of us. So let's kick it off. Heather, I think you have some good stories to share.
I do. So this is one of the topics that comes up when I'm starting to work with students. They're very concerned, where am I going to get business? How am I going to do this? And, my company is very established, but that's because I've made these connections and I've done networking, a little bit through my career. And I would say that you want to start focusing on your target market. So you have to define, where do you want to be in this space? So now we're digging a little bit deeper, right? We're not just holiday decorating or putting ornaments on a tree. Now it's time to decide what clients or, what jazzes you. Do you want to do resorts? Because that's what jazzes me, because that's like high income, high profit and bigger ticket jobs, right? Versus doing residential. Those can be lower. Well, they are lower, starting at even just $1,000, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, we kind of discover, first of all, what jazzes you and what makes you feel comfortable and kind of running through that process.
Yeah.
So yeah, so defining your target market is the first step in how you're going to network your business.
Yeah, and networking, I mean, it doesn't have to be like a formal go to the, B&I meeting, not to say there's anything wrong with these things, but it could be more deliberate. It could be also very strategic, which to your point is really important about deciding who you want to work with. And I mean,
Yeah.
last week we talked a lot about wearing the fur coat, right? And I think that mindset piece kind of rolls over. By the way, for those of you listening, you can check out last week's episode on Apple and Spotify. Just search up Holiday Pros or check it out also on Facebook here. Just search it up for last week. We're going live on Facebook every Thursday. Um, and the point is this, Heather, you brought up a really good point last week and how, sometimes you just have to wear your fur coat before you've earned it. Yeah. The mindset of put yourself in that vibration, that energy of making that outreach as though you are an established business person. Like you kind of have the confidence now because you've been doing it for so long. For people just getting started, making that outreach and building those connections, it's truly amazing what can happen. We used to have this phrase that I never really understood. It seemed so stupid, honestly, in the in the moment, but it makes so much sense now. And that was in the car business, and it was just like, if you don't ask, you don't get. And at the time, I'm like, well, duh. But the fact of the matter is, there's so many times that we hold ourselves back from just asking and from just putting ourselves in that position to even open that door because we have too many limiting beliefs. And that's kind of what I wanted to just touch on there because your point last week was so relevant to this conversation. Because for people who haven't been doing it as many years, they might just think, well, I'm not ready to network, or, I've got to get my website up. I've got to have my business cards. I've got to have
Right.
all the branding all perfect and everything ready. And,
Mhm.
yes, that is important, but it shouldn't stop you from starting the networking process.
Right. Well, listen, I built my 26-year now company, Elves to the Rescue. Well, let's talk about that. I, to this day, still don't have a logo. To this day, I don't have a website and I have no printed material. I don't have a postcard. I have nothing. So that's a testament to say that you literally don't need those things. Do you want those things? Yes, of course. That's part of your marketing, right? It helps the process, and you do want to show up professionally. And if you're going to be in-person networking, yes, you do need those things, right? However, it's the saying is just, get started. You don't have to be perfect, right? Just done is better than none. right?
Hmm.
And so in the beginning, when you're first starting your business, or even this just applies, do you want to scale? Because maybe you've gotten to a certain point, like I have, without those things, or maybe it grew organically, but now it's time to change it and, change it up a little bit and scale to the next level. And so places that you can network and start getting your name out there, like you said, once you start that process, you may not get, it's not going to be, oh, all of a sudden you have an influx of jobs. That may or may not happen, right? But you start building relationships with people because people do business who they know and who they trust.
Yes.
So it's that trust factor, and that takes time to build. So if you're going to, let's say you're a designer, you are a holiday designer, interior designers are a great place to network, right? There's a strategic alliance there. A lot of interior designers don't want to do holiday. That's a perfect liaison, right? You can bring that marriage together. And for me personally, I don't want to do anything interior design wise. I'm not picking out paint or carpet or anything like that, nor do I ever want to. So we can share the client. The same process exists for exterior installers. So you can create relationships with these people and start networking with them from day one, because we all know it just doesn't happen,
Yeah.
tomorrow. Sometimes it does. And that has happened with me where I've made a phone call and said, hey, I'm looking for, an exterior company, that does holiday lights and I want to partner. And we partner and we're off to the races, right? Sometimes that happens. But you really also want to know who you're partnering with.
Yeah.
So, yep,
I
that's
mean, it
also
goes
the
both
flip
ways for
side of it.
sure. Yeah. And I think I was just talking to a guy yesterday who, I don't know, I love to just talk to people and make friends. And, he was in a smaller community in New Mexico and was just sharing kind of his journey. And he said, he goes, my first year of doing Christmas, now he's doing exterior. He said, I was just looking to make a few extra bucks, like it wasn't like he thought, oh, I'm going to get in the Christmas business. Like he was
Right.
just like, this is just going to be extra money. He's like, so I just started doing some really basic, like signs on the side of the road and, maybe some door hangers. And he said, and he did it like when the season was already had kicked off. So it was an afterthought. He goes, I really didn't expect very much to come of it. And he said he did almost 150,000 his first season,
Mm-hmm.
which I know
Yes, I
that's
believe it.
not going to happen for everybody, but all to say, he did that without a website. He did that without, all the things. He kind of just threw some signs out there and focused on marketing. And I think that's really what we're trying to get at. Part of marketing is networking because, like you said, people want to do business with people they enjoy talking to. And when you have a relationship with somebody, you're more likely to refer them. You're more likely to hire them. You're hiring the personality, not the brand.
100%. And I've been doing the wigwam for this will be my 11th year. And let me tell you, things are very different in my marketing and my business today than they were 11 years ago. 11 years ago, I was that guy that you just described. Like, I really didn't have like a solid idea of what I was doing. I was just sort of throwing spaghetti at the wall. They actually called me for a bid and a proposal. And so I honestly would have to guess that that bid was not very well put together because I really didn't know what I was doing. But I sold myself. I wore that fur jacket that I really didn't own, and I am far more talented, 11 years later. And that's why I still have the account, but I still sold myself, on that day. And I did it without a website, without a logo, without business cards. I just created a logo that was something, to put on the proposal.
Hmm.
And I went in there and I just gave them my all, and they loved it. And to this day, I'm still doing it. So now I do other resorts, but the thing is that's rare, right? You're not probably going to have resorts knocking down your door. That doesn't really happen. And so you have to go to them, and it's practice. So just like anything else, right? Olympians don't go to the Olympics without practice or a coach or things like that. So having biz in a box helps. Like, we have these toolkits that we've already established, and it's a plug and play system. So
Hmm.
if there's fear around that, we have those answers now, which I didn't have that back then.
Hmm.
So
I
now we've
wonder,
made it much more easier.
yeah. And just listening, like I'm curious. I'd be curious to, this is more of a rhetorical question, I think, but like, 11 years ago, the internet wasn't like it is today. And online space was different. I wonder if people just feel like more pressure because of what's in our face all the time on our devices, right? We're always on social media. We're looking at we're searching things up. It's standard to say, let's Google that, right? I mean, it's a very different experience than it was 11 to 15 years ago, right? And I just wonder if that is what's helping to create sort of this illusion that this is also. And what's crazy, just to bunny trail for a second, I mean, I've talked to so many people about online presence and business online. Nobody ever nails it the first time. You're like your words just echoed in my head. Like it's an evolutionary process. We're always kind of evolving. The brand, you can establish it today. And I've talked to so many people who have spent thousands, tens of thousands with branding experts, with a graphic designer, with all the things, and then later realized, you know what, it's not really what I wanted, or I want to change it all again, but I spent so much money on it. I feel married to it. Like it's so, in a way, superficial. The networking piece is truly, I think, like the catalyst to your business. So let me ask you, where have you found to be the best places to network? Like what do you typically recommend?
Well, again, I'll loop back to you want to establish what your target market is. Like what do you want to do? So if you want to do resorts, then I would start hobnobbing at the hospitality conferences. You know, that you
Mm,
need to be in the rooms of the decision makers, right? So you need to meet the destination services managers. You need to um okay, was did you hear that ringing?
just a little bit. It
Okay.
wasn't too
So
much.
anyway, so if it's resorts, there's places to go for that. If it's residential clients, then you want to maybe hobnob with realtors in the luxury space, people that are doing those types of homes. Like whatever the job is, then you have to figure out who's also that client, right? Like that client has other people they're working with. So residential service providers are a great way to network. Like I said, Christmas exterior installers, people that do the cleaning of the home, the window washers, the gutter people, all of that, whoever that luxury homeowner is dealing with, that's who you want to hobnob with and build a relationship so you can also refer them too because we all have the same client. And I can't tell you how many times I've been asked for a house cleaner through my client because my client trusts me, right? They
Hmm.
do business with me, they trust me. It's the same effect where if they're working with an interior designer, they're absolutely going to trust that referral process,
That's
right?
interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Those are some really good suggestions. It just kind of reminds me back when I did work in the BNI network back when I was in Phoenix, and they often, to help you get your foot in the door, make something good come of your experience there, they will put you with like their power players. They're going to tell you, like in your industry, you're going to want to try to make these relationships first. And what you just described there were perfect power players for people to start connecting with. How do you recommend people go about that? Like, should they go to networking meetings or just, like, I don't know, call them up? How do you suggest that for them to just kind of build those bridges?
Networking meetings are good, but it's kind of shooting in the dark necessarily. That's kind of how I see it because first of all, it depends on what you're doing in that networking group, right? Like so BNI, I was an area director for 10 years. So in that space, you're building relationships with those people in the group, right? Week after week after week, you're showing up. So you're essentially building a relationship and then you're asking them to go find referrals. So you're going to ask each week, I'm looking for an interior designer. I'm looking for a realtor. There's all the service providers that you're looking for, right? But
Hmm.
you're not necessarily going to meet a whole bunch of those in the BNI meeting, right? Because they're exclusive to one person in that meeting, right?
Yeah, yeah,
A better place might be the chamber, right? Because they don't have just one person in that category. And so you could go to a networking group and meet five realtors, or choose maybe an organization that has more of than just one person in that industry that you're looking for,
That's a smart
or
move. Yeah.
go to the realtors association, right, and be where they are, where there's multiple, go to broker open houses
Mm.
and to those luxury homes. They do them all the time. So find out who's doing the broker open house, go in there, start dropping your card. Hey, I do holiday design and decorating for luxury properties. Here's my card, right? Also, a good place to network is literally with the luxury home builder. So get in there before the home is even done. And then the homeowner can create the relationship with whoever buys that home. And on an off note, you can also get your advice in there and say, hey, put plugs up on top of the niche, the nooks of the kitchen so that I can plug my garlands in.
Yeah. Now you're bleeding over into the interior designer space because I know they're all about like where are the plugs. That's the thing that most builders don't think about. That's
Yeah,
so true.
right.
Um, well, okay, I just want to recap something for the listening audience because I know we have a diverse audience. Some people are very advanced and that, we're throwing out some terminology that newer people may not be familiar with. Like BNI, for example, stands for Business Networking International. It's a group that's international and you can find a chapter in your area. And what Heather's talking about is essentially, if you're a residential realtor, you have to find a chapter where there's no residential realtor. You can't be in that space, which good luck with that. As an interior designer, Christmas holiday decorator, you're going to be in a lot better position because it's not very common. So you can actually choose to go to a networking group in the town. Like when I was in BNI, I lived in Glendale, Arizona, but we were part of a chapter all the way in Scottsdale because we did luxury home tile and flooring. And so that was where we wanted to be. And it can be very effective for you, but to your point, you're right, you're not working with the same people all the time. Whereas with the Chamber of Commerce, another thing chambers sometimes offer, and if they don't get involved in the chamber and get this to happen, because this will help your business too, they get lists of people who've moved to the town. The chamber does. And some chambers will do like a welcome packet to new residents and you can get your cards or your information in there. They stay in touch with the economic development community municipality, depending on the size of your business or the size of your town. But that is something that a lot of chambers do. And it's a huge advantage to businesses because as soon as somebody is to the home, you send them a welcome, here's a coupon for your first Christmas decorating experience with me, or X number of dollars off your design or whatnot. You can really do some good marketing that way.
Yeah, another idea is flower shops. So
Oh.
that's how I got started, literally. And with that analogy that you just gave, my flower shop was in the most luxurious high-end area of Phoenix. So it's Paradise Valley. Well, now actually that was 26 years ago when I bought my flower shop. So Phoenix is very different now. There's lots of other areas that are affluent. But at the time that was very prominent, right? And I was right in the heart of it. So by default, those were the people that were coming into my flower shop, right? So go to the prominent areas wherever you live, or like you said, if you don't live there, it doesn't matter, right? Go to the areas that you want to get the jobs
Mm-hmm.
and then start hobnobbing with those businesses that those people that live there, they are going to be using those services. So a flower shop is a really good referral and a really good place to also network with the business owners and find out if they even do holiday decorating, because if they don't, then you can partner with them.
It's
And then,
interesting. That's such an interesting, like, I don't know. I just don't see those two industries like making sense, but it does. I mean, you say so, so I believe you. But in my head, I'm like, they seem so different. So you're saying like people resident, like normal people like me, I could go into a flower shop and this happens where they are asked, like, do you guys do holiday decorating? That's how that goes?
well, I would say you would have to do, okay, in my experience, how I got started is not because I owned a flower shop. It's because I was next door to a pool store that did Christmas. So
Oh, okay.
they transitioned in the winter, their store transitioned from pool supplies to a sea of Christmas trees. And
Gotcha.
so people in this affluent area knew that. And they would come in and they'd buy the Christmas tree. And then by default, of course, they're not going to want to decorate it, the tree themselves. So they say, do you do, holiday decorating? So their business went from pools in the summer to switching gears in the winter. And then they are doing the installs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because I was their neighbor, the designer came over to me and said, I'm retiring and I want, to hand this business over to you. Are you interested in doing it? So by default, I got into this industry.
Ah, okay.
But then because I already had a customer base, right?
Mhm.
So I had thousands of customers in my flower shop. Now I could simply send an email. Hey guys, guess what? I'm now doing Christmas decorating. So that's how I also built my list. I already had an existing customer base
Yeah.
that trusted me, right? So if you create the relationship with the florist, that's what you're looking for. It's the power of the list.
Yep.
They
You
can
just
send out an email.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something. That's cool. That's a good idea. Like, I don't want to overshadow what you said because that was really helpful. Essentially, you're saying partner up with them, invite them to do an email blast on your behalf. And you know what? Sometimes you could trade for that kind of stuff, you know? You don't always have to, it doesn't always have to be a monetary exchange. You can work something out. But when you were talking, it
Yeah.
reminded me of my husband is a real estate investor, and one of how he got his start in the very beginning was similarly, there was a real estate investor he would partner with, or he not partnered with, he had hobnobbed with, right? Because he was going to these like local meetups and whatever. And this guy wanted to retire and just sold my husband like 15 houses. He's like, here, I'm done. You can have them. And I know there are people in the holiday interior space who don't want to do it anymore, like for whatever reason. They're moving, their life's changing. Life changes all the time, right? And so it wouldn't necessarily I would say to spend some time also networking with other holiday people in this space because you never know when somebody might just decide like, or they have too many clients. They can't keep up with them all. Why not help, why not be that person that they refer to you? So, like, networking can happen in so many places. We covered so much ground, but like, being strategic, making your list, but don't look at your competition necessarily just as competition. They can also be an ally because you guys will end up having work, or like in your case, you are a luxury interior home designer, or not even just home, but like you do luxury stuff, right? But
Right.
maybe then you have like a bank or something like that where they don't really necessarily have the budget for a full custom design decor. You can maybe send that referral to somebody like make that connection, bridge that space. And that's really what I see a lot in the Christmas space. Like the people that are doing this, there's just so much work to go around. So don't overlook networking with people in your space too.
Right. Well, I do focus in the luxury space, but I also do commercial. So I've done banks, I've done office buildings. I mean, I've done it all literally in my career. But that is a really super good point because in my career, I have been blessed a couple of times actually with that exact scenario. So the first one was the story I just told where the designer wanted to quit the pool store. They didn't want to do it anymore. So I literally just got their business basically. And then it happened again where there was a designer who had a beautiful store. Oh my gosh, it was like over the top, super luxury, just amazing. And he wanted to retire. So he started calling around to the different designers in the area. He called me and he said, come in for an interview. We're looking to basically gift our book of business.
Wow.
And I went to the
You're
interview.
like, I'll be right there.
Right, yeah. But again, even looking back at that, that was in 2000. Oh my gosh, that was 2016. So 10 years ago, that was.
Hmm.
Ironically, I got the Wigwam account the same year. And so, but to make a long story short, I went to the interview and I just basically did the best I could. And he chose me and he gave me 26 clients that year. So
Dang.
these are the things that have transpired in my career on why, I didn't need a website necessarily. I mean, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you get gifted. But to to end the story with the analogy you just gave as well, I moved into that position. There are so many years where I have given away so many jobs because I wasn't able to handle all of the phone calls that I was given. One year I gave away literally like 40 leads. I mean,
What?
it was
Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
And I was able to get picky at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they called and they're like, we just want, a 9 foot tree and it was a 2 hour job, I wasn't doing it, right?
Wow.
Because I didn't have the right staffing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in the scaling mindset. Now I don't even turn down those jobs because I have 10 designers that work for me, right? So I now want as many jobs as that, we can handle because I want my staff busy. But at the time, I didn't have that skill set, right?
Yeah.
So my go to was just give it away.
Yeah.
And I had two or three designers that I had become friends with in the industry that were building their business. So we just did $100 a referral.
Mm-hmm.
And we just created that strategic partnership where I was gifting, or referring those that overflow that I had at that time.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's all of it. All the things we talked about. I've done it all. You need to do it all. That all plays a part,
Yeah.
of
I
the
mean, I
networking.
think at the end of the day, like we started out talking about how Christmas was fun and exciting, and not to take away from that because it is. And that it's like mostly like you're making all this money in 6 weeks, and there's some like lure to that, right? That's kind of the attraction. And this idea that, well, we can just, kick it for the rest of the year. We don't have to sit there and work our butts off. The fact is, there is work to be done. Like you don't fully sit on your laurels, but also at the same time, you're not at an 8 to 5, you know grinding. It's not like running a business, even like an electrical business or a lighting business or an interior design business, like a year-round business where you need to constantly be getting new clients and feeding your business like every day. Being a business owner can be one of the most stressful things. I mean, so many business owners, struggle. They don't make it. They have downturns, right? Like that's just part of it. We take that risk. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. What's awesome about this business is you can make the bulk of your money in a short amount of time, so you have that security year round. But that isn't necessarily to mean that you aren't going to be busy doing things. But I kind of like networking. I love making friends with people. Well, of course, I'm like a social butterfly, but like I think that's an easy thing to do. And who doesn't want to talk about Christmas? Like most people do like talking about it, you know?
Yeah, they do.
So
Well,
it's an easy thing to do. It's not like you're hustling, selling something. You're just like, hey, let's talk about like the most joyful time of year.
right. Well, here's the reality of this space is that it works both ways, right? Whether you're a social butterfly like yourself or you are a hermit, the polar opposite of that, right? It works both ways because you can build the you can build your business for a couple of years and let's say your target market is 6 figures. That's what I teach, 6 figures in 6 weeks. I did that for years. I did my season, we busted it out, I worked my butt off, and I mean, I'm telling you, that's not an understatement. Like, we work hard during the season to do that, but then as come January, I'm done and I
Yeah.
check out and I'm on to riding horses, and I built a horse business, and I completely checked out of the Christmas business. I did that for years because I know that those clients are almost 100% coming back because I take a deposit. So I already know my calendar for the next year and I
Mhm.
can gauge that, right? So that takes a couple of years to build up. Let's say you just want to hang the hat there. You're good. Just work during the season, right? Or not. Why don't you scale it to a half a million, to a million, right? You're not going to scale to a million working 6 weeks. That's probably not going to happen, right? That's a whole different ballgame when you get to that level. And then you start working on the off season because that's when you're working on new designs, new clients, you're scaling, you're training your staff, you need more people, blah, 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 blah. That's the beauty of it. You can choose.
Yeah, it is. And that's
You
what
can
I really
choose.
like about your program too, is it's like it's got something for everybody, whether they're just getting started or they've been at it for a while and they're ready to take it up to the next level. Like it's really this is a business that you can scale or descale. I mean, at the same time, I talk to people who are like, "Holy cow, I did 350 houses last year and I almost just quit. It was so insane. It was too much." guess what? You're in control of that. You can either choose to just hire more people and keep going up, or you could pull
Correct.
back. I mean, you're in complete control. It's really, like you said, it's really about the security. I think that's probably, to me, the most freedom part of the whole business. I mean, imagine if you had, like, if you know you need 100,000 to live on for the year, let's just say, and you know you can make that at Christmas time, everything else is gravy. Anything else you do above and beyond that is just like extra money, right?
Right.
But you have that peace of mind and you don't have to worry so much about like how you're going to pay your bills come August, because you have it kind of already figured out. So it's a great business. I'm truly grateful to even have learned about it. And I'm grateful that we're sharing this with more people because so many people don't know this opportunity exists.
Oh, I know. And one thing to wrap up too, and that let's not forget that you are now a business owner and you have a sellable asset.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever want to quit or if you ever want to dip out, you can sell that business to somebody else, right? So
Yeah.
you're making money annually, but you're also building something that you can make money at the very end too, right?
Yep.
And people sell their businesses all the time.
Yeah.
Or you can, gift your clients like I was so graciously given those clients. Or, you can decide to will it to your children. You can have your children take over the business, have it be a family thing. Being a business owner has so many benefits, right? Tax purposes and all the things that go into it. But like you said, you can choose. You can choose how you want to design this. That's
Yeah.
what's so beautiful about it. It's time to wrap this up and tie it with a bow. You're listening to the Holiday Pros podcast. We're helping you master the business of Christmas.
And if you're liking what you hear, my friends, please subscribe to the show wherever you're listening and be sure to tune in next week. Until then, visit thechristmasdesigninstitute.com if you're ready to launch your Christmas business.